Hello, my name is Sinan. I work as a software consultant at Arinco, being in the industry for around 8 years. I'm not Kubernetes expert, but I play around with it. And I'm a .NET developer. So there is some new development happening in the .NET space with .NET Aspire. And they bring this tool, open source tool called Aspire8 that can take your Aspire manifest and turn it into Kubernetes deployment files. So we're gonna use Aspire CLI, .NET CLI. Not gonna do .NET, but you need .NET SDK to do this. So I don't have any PDF or anything. We're just gonna be on either on some terminal UIs or VS Code, maybe Firefox once or twice to see what Aspire look like. So let's check what I have as a .NET. So I have .NET SDK 9, and with the .NET CLI, I installed tool list. These are the tool I have. We are not going to use .NET EF tool. That's the ORM. It's pretty useful, but we're going to use Aspire CLI and Aspire8. So on here, I have nothing useful. So we're going to create one. So with Aspire CLI, we're going to create, I didn't check Aspire8, right? Let's check the Aspire8 version, because that has a nice logo on terminal. Okay. So let's start with Aspire. So we're going to create a new .NET Aspire starter template. We're going to create that with this starter template. We're going to call it Aspire test. I did like 20 times in the last 2 weeks. I'm okay with that output. Redis cache, yes. I'm being a good developer and not creating tests. So, and template version is 9.4.1, which is like updated like last week or something, which is the latest. So what is .NET Aspire? .NET Aspire, by the definition, I think they changed it a couple of times, but it is distributed application development framework, but it's opinionated. So when you have Redis as a resource that you want to consume, you can just install Redis SDK. But what Aspire team says is, to follow best practices, you need to put like 15 lines of code in your startup file. And they're like, we can give you that if you are following base path. But if you want to customize, you can still customize it. So we're going to go to that folder, and I'm going to explain more about Aspire. And I'm going to open what do we have there. My manager joined. So that is really small. Cool. I'm going to close these ones as well. Okay. When you have an API and a front end, which in our examples are this API service, which is our .NET API, which you can just create this with .NET new web API. And this is, I think, Blazor web application. When you have these two applications, what you do generally is you create two terminal, or you create like a starter project and you run them separately, or you can create a Docker compose. But when you start having multiple services, let's say you have 3 microservices and you have like 5 resources you consume: SQL database, storage queue, storage tables, like bunch of stuff. What Microsoft says, you can of course go and create your Docker compose again, but with Docker compose you are creating with YAML. I know we are in Kubernetes and we love YAML here, but .NET developer don't love YAML much. So what do we do is with Aspire app host, this is our blueprint of our distributed application here, distributed microservices, whatever. So there's 2 projects here. One of them is Aspire app host, the other one is service defaults. Service defaults give you that opinionated best practices, And app host give you this blueprint and containerizing your application locally, also handling these resources, connecting each other. I want to show a couple of things here in the web application. So as you guys see, I add the cache, just cache, and my front end called API service, front end called web front end. On the web configuration, close this. Instead of adding the local host, whatever connection strings that I'm gonna get from Docker, Aspire with the service discovery, let me just use whatever name I put there. On top of that, I'm not calling localhost 5001 or something. I'm just calling API service, whatever name I put there. It is called service discovery. It comes out of package. So let's run this. I'm gonna close this, and we are not gonna open. We might open. I'm not sure. Let's see how this goes. So because we have Aspire CLI, before Aspire CLI is released a week or two ago, maybe a month ago, I don't remember exactly. We used to go app host, and we would do .NET run. And while that's happening, I'm going to open Firefox. I didn't check the internet. I didn't run this before. Let's see. Okay. Oops, here. It opened here. I'm all right with that. So I just need to do this. I can actually move this here. So on top of that nice best practices, Aspire give you this dashboard. So this is our front end. We can call it. We can trigger our backend, and on top of that, it's leverage OpenTelemetry. I'm just gonna show the nice traces here. Like we can see what's happening in the distributed world there. This is Aspire, and we're not gonna see this nice UI anymore. So let's go back to our terminal and stop this. And with the Aspire CLI, we could just do Aspire run from here. Sorry, here, but we don't need to do that now. We already did .NET run, so that's same thing. When we do .NET Aspire run from anywhere in the project that has Aspire app host, it just find where it is and create a Aspire folder and some setting stuff. So let's go to app host again, because from now on we will need to be here. I was gonna normally do Git initialization and show like differences, but I don't think it's needed. You guys can just do this at home yourself. It's pretty easy. So what we're gonna do, I need to check, because I'm on Linux, I'm not using Docker desktop for Kubernetes. I'm using Minikube. I'm gonna just start Minikube. While that's starting, let's go back to app host. While I type it, it started. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use Aspire8. Aspire8. So if you look, we have init run. What we're gonna use from here, we're gonna use init command to initialize the Aspire8 setup. Then we're gonna use Aspire8 build to generate the containers from our application. Then because I'm running on Linux and Minikube, I need to load those images to Minikube. Then we're gonna generate the manifest file, and also the instead of talking, maybe we can just do it. So let's do, where are we? So if we do Aspire8 init, it's gonna ask a couple of questions. Because we are doing demo, we're gonna just go with default for most of them. So container registry for fallback, I'm not gonna do that. Repository prefix, I'm not gonna do that. Custom directory, I'm not gonna do that. But you can set these values for production deployment. And then we're gonna do Aspire8. Let's see what we have again. Aspire8 build. When we build the containers, it asks for a password to protect the secrets. I'm just gonna put here test so you guys can steal it. And it's gonna ask which components I want to create, I wanna build for. So we're gonna do all the components. So it's putting these containers in my Docker, and I need to move them to Minikube. That's gonna be the next step. If you do this on Windows, if you just use Docker, if you just use Docker Desktop, you can skip the next step that I'm doing. So as you guys see here, I have dashboard and stuff because I ran this before, but I don't have this front-end API service images in Minikube. If I run it, it just fail. You guys can experiment with it. So what we're gonna do is Minikube image load web front end. Was it load? Let me check. Yeah, it's load. This one take a while. I'm gonna do the other one here. Minikube image load. What was the other one? Web API. It's done anyway. Let's do it here. API service. So we can, when we deploy the Kubernetes cluster, Minikube should be able to grab those images, and they're only available in Docker registry, not public, it's locally. So we need to do this. So Minikube image ls. So right now we have API service and web frontend. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna come back to Aspire8 and we're gonna do generate. This step will generate our Kubernetes deployment file. And while doing this, we're gonna, of course, do most of the default values. Put my password, very secure test. That would be so funny if I failed that. So I think somewhere here it's gonna ask if I wanna put in a namespace. Should at least, yep. I wanna put in Aspire8 namespace. Top level customization file. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna come here and hopefully works. Okay, nothing is there yet, so we're just gonna, when we do Aspire8 apply, it's gonna take all the files that we generate. By the way, I forget to show you guys what we generate. Let's have a look at that. So I think I'm gonna go here. So these Aspire8 state and Aspire8 JSON are also manifests. These are some stuff, but what we are really interested in here is the dashboard. That is Aspire dashboard directly. Still deploy. We can prevent deploying this normally. Let's close this. We put a custom namespace, like a different namespace. These are the resources on customization file. And so Aspire8 create all these files for us, so we can just deploy to Kubernetes cluster. So we didn't do apply, right? Let's do apply. Yes, put password. Yep, and we're gonna deploy to Minikube. Okay, it's done. So I can do kubectl get namespaces, but at the same time I have that here. Yeah. So do I have anything here? We don't need this anymore. I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna open a Firefox here. Okay.
Trying to read what you're presenting, and by the time I've focused on it, you've gone to something else.
I'm just writing. I'm just following like a very basic tutorial of Aspire8. So I just want to like tell you guys, hey, there's a tool, you can use it. That's all. So tool, like everything is available, and I will share the what I'm running here as well. So I can, where I am. So everything I'm doing is literally just these commands. I didn't do any custom stuff yet, and I will put this on GitHub. So yeah, as well, yeah. So just for the fun. So I mean, I just want to show that with Linux distro we can do this. You know, Microsoft is not that evil to Linux anymore. They love Linux because of Azure. I love it as well. So we deploy this custom namespace called Aspire8. And these are all the resources that we show on our dashboard, other than the dashboard itself. It's deployed. Dashboard is not that useful, to be honest here. You need to configure OpenTelemetry a bit more. But I think it was Control F. If I port forward here, localhost 8080, as I remember. So voila, we have the same application that I didn't write here and working from Kubernetes cluster, which was like 15 minutes. So there are a lot of presentations and examples of how you can deploy this to Azure as well. It's available on .NET YouTube channels and Azure YouTube channels, and you know, a couple of Google clicks away. So yeah, that's my presentation. If you guys have any question, I can answer. Yep. Minikube. So what happened there is when I run Aspire8 build, this part generate those Docker images and put on Docker, local Docker context I have, whatever it's called, I don't know. And I can go have a look at them here, Docker images. Actually, I have a fun tool for that. Let me Docker. So yeah, they are here. So these API service and web frontend, this two container is generated by that step. And then because I'm running on Minikube as a Kubernetes environment or whatever it's been called, I need to load those images. I was failing for like whole week, and I'm not expert. I'm like, what's happening? Why it doesn't work on this? But it works on Docker desktop. So it was the reason. So it was, and you can experiment on Linux and see why it's failing. It would be your homework, I guess. Any other question? So good thing with Aspire, I didn't talk. Let's bring back Aspire. Let's do here. Code, maybe. Open folder. I don't know how to do this. Give me a sec. I'm going to do this. So fail using UI. What I want to show here is Aspire come with two set of NuGet packages. One of them are here. So here we have app host and Redis. So you can use like there's hosting packages for other languages like Python and other I'm running Angular with this, with my own other project. So you can run Java. So if you have like a multiple services, running Aspire is no-brainer for local development. I mean, mostly people use this for local development and being able to run things from single place, like just do .NET run in a host project and just create containers. It can run other stuff, and there's a lot of samples of it. But today's topic was about more Aspire, so I didn't go deep. There's a, I think, Coding Nights Meetup. I will do a presentation, but we don't know the date yet, so we will deep dive into .NET Aspire. So if you guys are interested in Aspire, so that could be a chance to go through. So that is it. If you guys don't have any question. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I heard that you mentioned that it can integrate with Docker organization. Can it also integrate with Kubernetes as well?
This is, so it's not, so what Microsoft team is giving you right now is with Azure Developer CLI, you can create an Aspire project or integrate your existing project with Aspire, and you can initialize your GitHub Actions and all the deployments file for cloud deployment. But for Kubernetes, Aspire8, the tool I'm using right now, is open source, like a community-driven tool that is given for us to use. So yes, you can deploy to, like, this is our Kubernetes cluster. And this is our namespace. I like that dog there. But this is K9s, by the way, instead of doing kubectl. Let me talk about the tool. So this is lazy Docker I'm using here. These are like terminal UIs. So I really like this one a lot if you are not into remembering the Kubernetes commands, but also you can use GitHub Copilot or other Amazon Q and stuff to, you know, ask what was this command and stuff. In my previous job, I was doing a lot of Kubernetes. We were debugging and diagnosing a lot of problem with Kubernetes. It was our problem. It wasn't Kubernetes itself. So we were trying to find what's happening. So yeah. Any other question? You can't. There are no icons.
Yeah.
Front-end, may I use something like React or Angular instead of Blazor?
Yeah. Aspire, you can add node packages. You can do node. You can do npm. You can do Java. Okay, let's go to Aspire, of course. .NET Aspire. I need to probably do this. So if you look at the integrations here in Aspire, where are they? Here. So anything you see here, you can do. On top of this, it's open source, so people keep building stuff for this. So, like, for example, another good thing is Aspire samples GitHub. That's what I generally use. So if you go here, samples, like an example, I'm not gonna go, of course, all of it, but JavaScript, as you see, this is working with one API, and on the front end, it's using both like Angular, React, and Vue. So when you run this application, if we clone, we just need to do .NET Restore. Probably we might need to do, I think they are bringing next version. It doesn't do npm install on those right now. If you do that, and if you just do .NET Run on that app host project, it will just bring all your stuff. So yeah, Aspire is really fun. I would recommend. Any other question? No? Cool. Let's hack some stuff.
Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome here for your second talk, and it's me. Yay. Right. So we are going to talk about capture the flag. Has anybody ever done a capture the flag event? Yeah, done one. CrowdStrike. Okay. Anybody else done capture the flag? Anyone know what it means? What it is? Michelle, I'm sure you know. Yeah. you know,
Get to the end and win.
get to the end and win. Yep. It's about finding, it's about hacking, right? You hack your way through a vulnerable server and you find flags, right? Flags are like targets, like passwords or something like that, right? And you have to capture these flags, and we usually run like a competition. And the person who gets the flags the fastest is the winner, and we usually give them some prizes. So it's quite a fun little competition. And we ran one at KubeCon. So myself and Mario at the back there, we went to Hyderabad in India probably 2 weeks ago now. And we ran one of these events. We had 110 people or so. So it was very good fun. I was running it, so I didn't win. No, I mean that would be cheating if I played. So just a quick recap on who we are. I'm sure you guys have heard this a million times. If you're regulars, Control Plane is the company I work for, and also Mario. We are a cloud native security consultancy based in the UK, but we've also got an office here in Auckland. We work with government, banks, and so on, and we are security specialists. We focus on cloud, Kubernetes, open source stuff, containers, secrets. That's our thing. And we are growing. We regularly go to conferences. That's one of our things. We love the community. We want to give back to the community as much as possible. We contribute to open source projects, and we do things like these meetups. And we also go to all these big conferences and run these capture the flag events. We think they're a good way to train people. We also run them for private institutions. So we've just recently done one for the Australian government. We had a few people. I can't say what department it is, but it's a very top secret government department in Australia. And we've taught them a whole bunch of stuff about Kubernetes security. And they did one of these capture the flag events. Yeah, it's just stuff we do. Sales stuff. I'm going to skip over it. So this is KubeCon India. It was quite nice. You know, quite well manicured. It was a nice little conference center in Hyderabad. There were like 4,000, 5,000 people. This was the main hall on the right here. And I mean, it was in typical, I guess, Indian fashion. It was just so crowded. There was people standing on the sides. There weren't enough seats, right? Like it was just absolutely rammed full of people. It was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic. Some very good talks. And this is our capture the flag event. That's me standing at the front, just like I am now. And that's our CTF taskmaster over there on the right, Mario, who was handing out credentials to everybody. And yeah, we had a good time. I think we had 110 people registered, and they're all sitting around hacking away for about 6 hours. So yeah, we had probably half a dozen people, maybe 10 who were really good. A lot of people sort of gave up after the first couple of challenges, but these guys stayed to the end. Yeah, it was really good. We had one guy who was just absolutely amazing, was sort of head and shoulders above the rest. We've actually hired people in the past. Yeah, we have hired people at these capture the flag events for our pen testing engagements and things like that. So it's not only giving back to the community, but it's also great for us. It's a win-win situation, right? We get to hire people. So here's a scoreboard we had for the India. So we had Asaxor here with 105 points. The guy in purple. Yeah, he did well. And there's a bunch of other people who also caught up, but just didn't quite get the mark as he did. He got 7 or 8 out of 9, I think, of the challenges. So he did well. Right. So today, what we're going to do tonight, is we're going to play. So we're going to play. You guys can join along if you want. If you want to get credentials, to get the SSH keys and stuff to play along, you can jump on the Discord channel. Have you guys joined our Discord, the Auckland Kubernetes Discord? Please join it if you haven't. That's the Discord app there. And yeah, if you want to play along, get some SSH keys, Mario will send them over to you. I've got 10 clusters. I've got 10 vulnerable clusters for each scenario. We've got 2 scenarios. If we run out, I mean, there's what, 15 of us. I mean, some of you guys might have to share, but I don't think it's a problem. Right. A whole bunch of people joined. Nice. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started on this, and we're going to do it together on the screen. So if you don't have your laptop or you just want to watch or just play along as a group, you can. If you want to go solo, ask Mario for credentials and he'll send them over to you. Right, that's that. Oh, no. Didn't think about that, did we? The old newbie spam prevention. Can you direct message though? Or you mean you can't DM? Try DM Mario. Yeah. Righto. So I'm going to pull the terminal up here. I'm sure you guys are probably sick of the terminal after Sinan's one, but sorry, we're back at the terminal. My one isn't as fancy, so it's just a pretty standard bash terminal here. Right. So I'm going to use. So I've got some credentials here. So when Mario sends you the credentials, you'll get these like a tar.gz. We're going to do orchestra first. I've already unzipped it. And then we just run SSH. Don't actually need all this. I can post this on the Discord if you want to play along. Right, there we go. So I'm going to SSH in. There we go. Okay, so I've got root, which is nice, at a jump host. Okay. So we literally give our attendees nothing. Like we just say, here's some SSH keys, go explore, see what you can find some vulnerabilities, and go find some flags, right? And a flag is literally, it's something like this, right? Flag, CTF, and then a stuff in here, right? So if you can find this string anywhere, that's like, you get points for that, right? So what should we do? I can give you guys a quick hint. So we're inside a cluster. We're in a namespace within a cluster, right? Kubernetes cluster. What do you think we should do? What's our first command? ls. Okay. Nothing. Okay.
Let's take the
kubectl get all. That's a good one. Okay. All right. I've got a bunch of forbiddens. That was just me testing stuff. I hate you, John, for saying that, but okay. It was just me wondering if I could install stuff. But yes, I could. That's my history. That's cheating. I'm not going to let you see that anymore. Right. So kubectl get all. Okay. So we got a bunch of forbiddens. Okay. What should we? What next? Permission issue. Okay. Well, how do we know what permissions we've got? Sure. Let's have a look. I don't have a config because I'm running in cluster, so it's using in cluster config. So I'm running with a service account, right? I'm running as this service account here, the jump host service account. Do you guys want a hint? We're SSH'd into a container inside a Kubernetes cluster, inside the jump host namespace. Sure, env. That's our env. Oh, you want to see there's a Docker socket available? Okay. Run docker.sock, is it? No, nothing there. Yep, let's see what's mounted, df-h. You want to see what's in secrets, June? It's just the Kubernetes service account token, I think, which isn't going to give us anything because we're already running as that user, right? So that's our own user that we've got. Which one? Yeah. That's 6443 is the, isn't that an OpenShift thing? I'm not sure. It might be. I'm not sure. I think vanilla Kubernetes is just stock standard TLS port 443. Right. So we need to know what permissions we've got, right? Anyone know any commands? Let me ask Gemini. Here we go. ChatGPT, like you say. Here we go. Look, I knew this was coming. The AI part of the talk. How do I list my permissions on a Kubernetes cluster? Right, kubectl auth can I dash list. Okay, so this is what we've got access to. Has anyone see anything interesting out of this list? Slash APIs? No, so these are all stock standard. So these are all the public endpoints basically. We can basically ignore all these at the bottom. Subject reviews and access reviews, these are all stock standard. These ones here are the actual interesting ones. We haven't done get namespaces. Should I do get namespaces? Let me just alias kube control first because I'm sick of typing it. Okay, so we've got some namespaces. So we've got access to list namespaces. We've got these. Crossplane, okay. So we've got Crossplane installed. Has anyone used Crossplane before? No? You know what it is? So has anyone written controllers before or done anything with CRDs? I know you have, yes. Anyone else? Yeah. So Crossplane is kind of a way of helping you write controllers and custom resource definitions in a way that you can do it all through YAML, right? So usually you do something like Kube Builder, or you'd write your own Go code, and you'd have to do your own write code to like handle different situations and get things into like desired state and blah blah blah. Crossplane sort of tries to make that simpler, right? So you can set up things like compositions in Crossplane. Shall we ask the AI about Crossplane?
Can we do kubectl get namespaces?
Yeah, we can try that. Is it -A like that? Should do it. Still nothing. Still forbidden. Good try, but
Try some service. Get services dash and
like that.
or just website, not all the names.
Oh, okay. Website.
I don't know. J.
Okay, we got something. There's something there. So just to go back to where we were, hold on, sorry. So the auth can I, that only lists what I've got in my current namespace, right? Which is the jump host namespace. So we know there's a whole bunch of other namespaces. So one of the first things we need as an attacker is to enumerate your permissions, right? What have I got everywhere? Not just in one namespace. So let's have a look at what we've got in these other namespaces, right? So should we do that? All right, let's do that. So so that one's kind of useless. That one's useless. These two look interesting, right? Project Contour website looks kind of interesting. I suppose Crossplane looks kind of interesting. Default. No, they're all pretty much when the cluster got built. So let's try names our website. So okay, so on the website again, we can ignore the first few. Okay, so we've got config maps, we've got static web apps, namespaces again, pods, services, and then these composite things, deployments, ingresses. Okay, so we've got quite a lot of permissions on the website namespace.
Config maps thing.
Okay, let's have a look at the config maps. I keep writing kubectl even though I aliased it. Anyway, okay, so we've got a kuberoot CA, which is this is just a out of the box thing. And then we have this Nginx sample site. Should we have a look at that? Okay. This is an index.html and it's very bare bones HTML. Okay. What else could we look at? Nothing here that's given us anything extra, really. Should we go back to our permissions? I don't seem to have access to it. We can try, but I don't think it's going to give us any.
I guess we can-
Nope, don't have permission to that. What about these cross-plane things? Should we have a look at these? Yeah, which one should we look at? So there's a composite resource definition, composition revision, and then there's a composition. Put star for both of them. Okay. Oh, how am I going to do that? I can't change permissions. I don't have access to change permissions. So John, you have something?
Just
Have a look at compositions. All right, let's have a look. Okay, so we have this static web app YAML template, which is a XR kind of static web app and an API version of kubesim.tech v1.
yeah, show you.
Let's dash show YAML it. That's a good idea. Okay, interesting. What do we got here? Right, so here's a composition. Last apply configuration is generally a bit boring. Oh, what's this? So we found a first flag. Well done. So here's our first flag. Actually, when I first played this, I completely skipped over this. I wasn't looking for it. So yeah, you can, but you need to know what are you looking for to grep, right? Like,
Flag underscore CTF.
it's always flag underscore CTF. Yeah. But this is the only flag in this scenario that is sort of hidden away within an annotation. But okay, here's our first one, right? So we found our first flag. We would then post this up to CTFD, which is our CTF thing, and we get some points for it, right? Generally, we like to put flags in places to be like, okay, you're going down the right direction. So we're going the right way, right? So so looking at the composition was the right thing to do. Fantastic.
Flag itself. Flag itself was talking about Nginx.
Yes.
Full access to the cluster and it could find
Yeah, but how do I give Gemini full access to the cluster? I don't have full access to the cluster, right? I have to sit there and enumerate what permissions I've got. Okay, so let's have a look. So okay, so this is a composite type of static web app, right? I'm going to explain crossplane a little bit here because you guys probably haven't heard about it. Probably ask Gemini to probably do a better job than I will, but I'll try. So you can use crossplane to bundle up a bunch of different Kubernetes resources. It could be like a service account and a service and a deployment. Bundle them all up and then call them something else, right? Like it's a way to it's like an abstraction layer, right? So so here we're saying, okay, if you create a static web app type, so you could do like kube control get static web app. Underneath, when that's being created, it's actually got this template. So it's going to create a deployment. And then you can put in like these, you can use basically, has anyone ever used Go templates before? You can, use Go templating language, add some interesting stuff in there. You can use if statements, right? So that's our deployment, and then we've got volumes and stuff. We've got a service as well down here. So it's a pretty basic example, just to sort of show how Crossplane works. But yeah, we've got a deployment and a service, right? I'm going to just sort of, there's a particularly vulnerable bit, which I'm going to highlight, which I'm not going to highlight, but I'm going to leave on the page here. You guys have a read of what this is doing and have a think about what potentially might be vulnerable in this. So someone says secret, like, yeah, okay, so we've got a secret here. So that's probably what we're trying to hack into, right? Like that's our target. So how could we potentially get this secret? So it's mounted somewhere on /etc secret. How could we get access to that? Have a look. Mounted to what? But we don't have permission to create pods, right? If we go back to our, if I scroll back up, I'll keep it here, but it's mounted onto this pod, but we don't have exec permission. We've got very few permissions, right? So it's about, we're trying to find out what we can do with the permissions that we've got. Should I scroll back up to the permissions? Or maybe I'll open a separate tab.
Yeah.
Separate tab. So this is, yeah, that, and then we'll go back here. We'll do auth. Right, so these are the interesting ones I'll sort of highlight. So we've got access to config maps, all the composition stuff, deployments and ingresses. So we can only read these things, right? So these ones at the bottom we can get, watch and list. We can read them. Is it possible to create a config map referencing the secret? So you want to, use like using what? How would you do that? Should we ask Gemini if we can do that? And I create a config map. Oops, caps lock. That references a secret value. No, you cannot directly reference a value from a secret within a config map in Kubernetes. I'm not going to bother reading the rest because, yeah, no, you can't, is the answer. But that's not far off the answer. So, I mean, you are on the right track. So we can create config maps, right? So we do have permission to create, so get, list, watch, create config maps, and also static web apps, which is the custom resource that we're defining, right? So what can we do? We don't have exec permission, right?
So
we have pods, get, watch, and list. We don't have exec in that list. We can't exec into the pod.
we can create a static web app
We can create a static web app, yep.
that references the secret.
Okay, how do we create a static web app? We know this is how a static web app. This is like the recipe for a static web app, like the definition of how it gets created. Like internally, it's going to create a deployment. It's going to use these, this sort of template to create it. It's inside of a volume. It's inside of a volume. Okay, should I just put this whole thing into Gemini and ask it what's insecure about it? Yeah? Let's be honest, that's what we're going to do anyway, right? Let's go all the way up to the spec. Oopsie. How do you do a new line without heading into? Yeah, I tried that, didn't work. No, it's all right. I'll just spaces. There we go. That'll do. It'll work it out, I'm sure. Did that paste the whole thing? Not sure if it did. Right, based on the provided cross-plane composition template, here are the security concerns. Hard-coded secret name, it's critical. Right, it's hard-coded in the template. Okay. Fine. But how are we going to exploit this? I don't think that's exploitable. Use of latest image, yeah, that's not going to really help us. Lack of security context, this is just generic stuff. No resource limits. Okay, so nothing really that I can see here that would really help us. It hasn't found the problem, basically. Let's go back. Maybe humans will find it better than Gemini can. I'm going to start highlighting where I think it's insecure, and I'm going to narrow it down until you guys figure it out. So it's somewhere in here, obviously. Let's say it's in here somewhere, right? So what's insecure about this? Nope. We can specify an Nginx config. Well done. So we can define whatever Nginx config we want, right? And we can override what Nginx is doing. So what that means is we can change Nginx to, we can change the like the route of where it's serving traffic from and make it serve this up, right? So this is like an injection attack. We can inject a malicious Nginx config into here and make it read that instead. So let's have a look at what the default does, and we'll sort of tweak it. Right, how are we going to do that? Well done, John, by the way. So yeah, so we've got an Nginx sample site. Where's the default config again? So Nginx config map. Yeah, but this is just the index.html. This is not a default.conf. So okay, so let's read this again because I'm trying to remind myself how to do this. So if the resource spec Nginx config map is nil, then use a default No, if it's not nil, then use it and inject it in. So by default, it's using, if it's not there, no, if it's not nil, then we, yeah, okay, mount it in. Let's thinking about getting, so yeah. So let's create a new static web app, right? So let's just have a look. So what static web app do we have? Nothing here. Let's do website. Okay, so we've got a static website, a static web app called Sump website. Let's have a look at that one. Right. So that's defined. Here's the spec. Crossplane composition ref. Okay, YAML template. Revision ref is that. And it's got a deployment and a service. Okay, that's the status of it. Right. Let me just get the auth again. I can't remember what I'm doing. So somewhere we can actually define the resource. Template. Mario, do you remember where the do you remember where you define the actual static web app? Is it not under here, static web apps? Let's grab this one. We'll just change it. We'll call it test.yaml. Okay, let's get rid of a whole bunch of this stuff we don't care about. Don't care about any indentations. Oh, thank you very much. All right, cool. Let's get rid of the status. We don't care about that. Okay, so we're going to create our own sample website. We're going to call it something else. Let's call it hack website. We're going to use the same template. Yep, because that's the one that we want to exploit. We're going to create some, I don't think we need resource refs. It's not part of the spec. Yeah, I'm going to get rid of it. So what we're, in fact, I don't think we need, yeah, let's just leave it at that. So replicas is 2, that's fine, don't care. Subdomain, let's just call it hack. And website config map is Nginx sample site. And then there was Nginx config map. And we'll call that one hacky config, Nginx config, right? And then we'll create another resource here. I'm going to ask Gemini to do it because I can't remember how to do the damn syntax. Write me a config map that contains a default.conf file that is an Nginx config that has a document root at slash, what was the secret path again? Thank you. And allows directory listing. Right, that looks kind of good. Let's go with that and see how it works. Oh no, get rid of the line numbers, copy paste. How do you do? Yeah, I tried Alt, didn't work. Alt Shift, Control Alt. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. Just Control Alt, drag the mouse. Right, let's paste that in there. Right, we're going to call it hacky nginx config, though, aren't we? Right, server, listen 80, server name localhost. Well, set the document route to where the directory of the secret is mounted. Okay, thanks, Gemini. Yep, auto index on, fantastic. Okay, let's try that and see what happens. So let's apply this in the website namespace. Okay, so I got permissions to do all that, so that worked. So let's have a look at the services we've got now. Hold on, KN equals CTF. Oops. Website. All right, so now I've got a new service. Let me try and curl it, see what happens. So if I do curl, do I have curl? Don't have curl. Okay, let me install curl. And I've got root on the container, right? So I can install whatever the hell I want. Right. So curl that IP. What happens? Nothing. Okay. Did I get the right service? Port 8080. Thank you very much. It's not port 80. Okay, here we go. So I've got index of slash, and we've got a link in href to flag. So that's probably it. So let's try slash flag. Ta-da! And we got the flag. Right, did that make sense? So we injected in some nginx config because there was a template that allowed us to inject it. So we put in a config that pointed to something that it didn't want us to get access to, which was its secret, right? So yeah, so that's the next flag. Mm-hmm.
From an outside world, how secure would it be if you could still grab it to inject it?
So, I mean, security at the end of the day is about putting safeguards in all over the place, right? So, generally, a hacker's not going to have, got some root container on your cluster, but that's like they would have found some other entry point and gotten some container. Like, let's say you had, I don't know, Sinan wrote a Aspir8 whatever container and put a test password in, and someone hacked his laptop and found the test password and then execed into his container from his password and got root access to a container that way, right? And it was his like production cluster. And then from there, he's got this, Aspire service account. What permissions does it have? Okay, well, he's obviously a good engineer, and he's tried to restrict the permissions of his thing. So we're kind of skipping ahead to the part where we've already broken into somebody's laptop, we've already broken into the cluster, we've got like a foothold into a cluster. Now let's see what we can find, right? Yeah. Right. So so we've managed to find now this secret, which might give us access to, who knows, right? Like it might be some access to some billing system, or free Gemini tokens, right? It could be anything. But this is just here as an example, right? So okay, so there's one more flag in this scenario. I'm going to give you guys another hint. So let's go back to the auth CNI. Right, so there's one other thing we haven't really looked at here. And it's somewhere in here. And I'm going to narrow it down. It's somewhere in here. Which of these have we not really looked at yet? These two, right? Yeah, should we look at the revisions? I'm going to get us straight to the answer. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to speed things up. So get these guys. Let's list them. Okay, so we've got revision 1 and revision 2 of the static web app. They're both templates, and they've got some sort of number on the end. Okay, what should we do? Should we just get them as YAML? Okay, what do we got in here? So this was the revision. Is this the same one that we saw earlier? Inline template? No, it's not. It's something else. Okay, so this is the older revision. So in the older revision, there was a secret. Someone tried to fix it, put in a newer revision, but they didn't delete the old revision, right? It's the classic, like, it's like committing something into your source code by accident, fixing it up in later revision, but it's all there in your history. So yeah, the lesson is, if you've got some sort of revision control system and you accidentally commit a secret to it, make sure you completely nuke it. So yeah, I did speed that last one up. I mean, generally it took people about an hour and a half to do this exercise when we were in India, and obviously I gave 0 hints. So it was quite interesting. We've got another one which I was hoping we'd have time for, but we don't. So